This is a special podcast presentation from 700WLW.com. This is Doc Thompson On Demand.
Well, Union brothers and sisters, the final score 17-16 in the Senate, and in the House 53-44, and the governor signed the bill, meaning S.B.5 late last night. I do have a question. Where are you this morning? I would have expected last night some protests at the State House. Nothing. Where's the outrage this morning at the State House and C-Bus? Nothing. And now I find out that there's going to be some kind of a rally on April 9th. April 9th? That's old news by April 9th. It's a week and a half away. Where the hell is Jimmy Hoffa when you need him? Well, this law is more encompassing than the law that was passed and signed into law in Wisconsin. And joining us, Mike Wilson of the Ohio Liberty Council. Mike, welcome to the big one.
Good morning, Darryl. Great to be with you.
Well, what do you think?
I think Senate Bill 5 being signed into law is a great victory for taxpayers. I think this bill is ultimately about fairness. You've seen tremendous growth in government work while the private sector has stagnated or declined. Public sector has benefits, salaries, perks available to them you don't have in the private sector. This bill is a framework. This doesn't cut salaries right away, but it gives a framework to allow things to get back into balance.
I look at this and I think, for so often, and really for 30 years in the state of Ohio, it's the bargaining side has been with the public employee unions, and now I would call it fairer. The pendulum maybe just fell to equilibrium here, that at least the taxpayers, we have some say in what's going on?
No, I think so. And anybody who's ever voted against the school levy, should understand the premise behind Senate Bill 5 and trying to get things back into balance.
Well, explain that.
Okay, well, if you voted against the school levy, it's because you think they have enough taxpayer dollars to get the job done. And yet what happens is, they always end up trying to cut things that are the most sensitive. So they're going to cut busing first thing because they know that's one of the things that's most inconveniencing to parents. Then they start cutting, sports and extracurriculars programs like that. When you go back and you look at it, you have schools with tremendously bloated administrations. You have teachers that in some cases, again, they're working 9 months a year and making more than the average person in the private sector. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the calculus that goes on in people's heads when they vote no on those levy requests. They realize there's enough money there. Well, right now, we're in a situation, we've got budget crises at the state level, in local school districts, in cities and municipalities, and people are saying, you know what, I've taken a haircut in the private sector. All right? Mm-hmm. In the public sector, I haven't seen that yet. This is the framework that allows them to get back into balance with us.
Mike, I want to put that a different way. When you look at school levies or you look at government, and here is the problem. Whatever the budget may be, they will spend $1 more. So they can go back to the voters, and they can go back to the taxpayers and ask for more. Say we spend it.
No, I think you're right. I think you see that happening all the time, and I think you have taxpayers who have finally said enough is enough. That's why they elected a bunch of Republicans last year, and I think these guys are following through on what they said they were going to do. They're going to try to to get things back under control. Again, I don't think people understand the magnitude of the budget crisis we're facing in Ohio. State of Ohio is facing an $8 billion budget deficit, and
now to be fair, that's over, Mike. To be fair, that's over 2 years.
Over 2 years, mm-hmm. Absolutely. But they fund local governments through the local government fund. They fund local school districts through state foundation funding, and in order to fill that deficit with tax increases, you're talking about a 4-cent sales tax increase. Mm-hmm. That's what that recommends. We've asked the taxpayers for enough. We've taken the haircut in the private sector. Government has to shrink.
Well, next on the agenda here is to collect some valid signatures, and that has to happen over the next 90 days, about 231,000 and change in signatures to put this on the ballot in November. Right.
Yeah, and I expect the Democrats and the unions to focus everything on this one because, for them, this is the same set of Democrats that, balanced the budget with a bunch of one-time gimmicks and stimulus funds and didn't take the hard steps necessary in order to get things back into line. They're ignoring the problem. They're walking right past the problem because of the politics of this. Mm-hmm. Anything that weakens the public employees unions weakens the Democrat Party. And when you look at this, labor unions are, among the top donors, other than the parties themselves, the candidates here in Ohio over the last 20 years. They've donated more than oil and gas interests. They've donated more than any other big businesses. It's labor unions that fund Democrat campaigns, and they're worried about someone going after the golden goose.
Mike, you have any idea how much money is going to flow into this? Because, when it comes to a political campaign, and it comes to putting a ballot on the November election on election day in November, how much money is going to be tossed into it? Because there's going to be radio and there's going to be television ads and newspaper ads and a lot of money being spent.
Well, like I said, I think they realize that this is tremendously critical to them. So I would expect them to throw everything they have. I mean, I have no idea how much they have on.
Well, you want me to tell you?
Go for it.
I never ask a question I don't know the answer to. How about $20 million?
Well, I don't doubt that. And, unfortunately, those of us that are out on the side of the taxpayer, I mean, it's essentially the Tea Parties. The Republican Party, I mean, even though you've had Republicans voting for this stuff, the Republican Party isn't really interested or capable of trying to go out there and take this fight to the people. So I think you're going to see those of us in the Tea Party movement, the Liberty movement across the state, who are going to end up being both advocates here. Because I think really what people who are going to end up voting on this need to understand is that if you vote this down, okay, if you say, we're going to go ahead and strike this bill down at referendum, what you're doing is you are dooming Ohio to tax increases across the board, and you are dooming Ohio to a worse business environment and continuing the downhill spiral that we're in.
Mike, you bring up a great point about the business environment in the state, and I'll put forth some evidence. I don't know if you read the article. It was late last week. I think it was on Friday, and it was about Caterpillar, which is headquartered in downstate Illinois in Peoria. They make bulldozers, right? International business, all across the world. You see Caterpillar bulldozers and payloaders and backhoes and all that. Caterpillar sent a letter to the governor of Illinois saying that, look, you have to do something about the tax burden in the state of Illinois, or we're going to move out. Now, if you think that can't happen in the state of Ohio, I bring forth the evidence. NCR that moved out a legacy company in the Buckeye State that was originated, that was formed, that was part of the makeup of the city of Dayton moving to Georgia.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And it's still going on. I mean, the state right now is in negotiations with American Greeting Card and Bob Evans, and trying them to keep their employees in their headquarters here in Ohio as well. This is something that we have to continue to try to attend to because other states, frankly, are kicking our butts in this area. Indiana has gone down this path already. They did that with Governor Mitch Daniels back in 2006. And they're at this point, they're taking businesses that are leaving Ohio, and we can't afford, particularly here in a border county like Hamilton County, to keep losing that fight here in the state.
Well, Mike, I mean, to the point, the Honda plant that was just built across the border in Indiana, wouldn't that have been great if it was in Ohio?
No, absolutely, and they cited the tax environment as one of the reasons why they chose to locate in Indiana instead of Ohio.
All right, so the next looks like on April 9th. Is going to be, as far as the public employee unions, their next rally. I guess that's going to happen in Columbus. Are you aware of that?
Oh, I am, but again, I think they're going to be focused mostly on trying to get the number of signatures that they need. I mean, they need to get signatures equivalent to 6% of the voters in the last gubernatorial election, which even with the level of resources and money that they have, that's still not a trivial thing to get done. So. But, if that ends up happening, and I think they'll ultimately be successful with that, I'm happy to make the argument to the people here in the state. That's why we have the referendum process, and I say all the time here, we get the government we want as voters.
Sure.
In order for us to try to fix things, we have to be willing to hold the politicians accountable. We have to become informed about these things. We have to not listen to the myths and the lies that are coming from the public unions. We have to understand 26 other states get by perfectly fine without collective bargaining for public work.
Mike, give a prediction. If this gets on the ballot in November, do you think it's going to go down to defeat?
I think it's going to end up being very close. I think they're going to spend a ton of money on that, and I think that's going to influence people who maybe aren't paying that close of attention. But we're going to be doing what we can on the other side, trying to educate people and spread the word.
All right. Well, it looks like they're going to toss $20 million into the kitty to get this on the ballot and to get this law repealed that was signed into law last night. Mike Wilson of the Ohio Liberty Council. Have a great day, buddy.
Hey, good to be with you, Joe.
Okay.
Thanks.
Take care. About 17 after 10 on the big one, 700 WLW. April 9th? You got to strike when the iron is hot, Union brothers and sisters. To Union brother Willie's point, about this getting on the as a referendum, getting on the ballot, he thinks this law would be repealed if it happens in November. We'll see what Union brother Willie has to say at 12:06 today. 17 after 10 on 700 WLW. Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast for today: increasing clouds, maybe an afternoon shower. As you head home, listening to Sloaney and Tracy, 51 today's high. Tonight, showers. Light snow overnight with a low of 36. Tomorrow, rain and snow showers early on, decreasing clouds in the afternoon with a high of 52. 60 on Sunday. And traditional opening day on Monday, going to be like 70, 73, something like that. 40 at 700 WLW. Yeah. 8.8. Unemployment rate, it's gone down, which is good. Country added about 216,000 jobs last month. And the problem is, each month, just because of population, about 125,000 new jobs are necessary. And adding at a rate of 200,000 jobs a month, that would get us to a 6% unemployment rate in about 2016. I can give you a little history here, considering back to the days 1934, and we're talking about the deepest part of the Great Depression. The economy grew 7.7%. The following year, 8%. 1936, it grew at 14.1%. How are we doing now? Anywhere between 2.5 and 2.9%. Not good. I'm not being a conspiracy nut. Just pointing out the facts of what is going on here. And we're like veal. I mean, you watch these cable news shows. And to be honest with you, I get bored after a while and I turn on like Mega Movers or something. Yeah, I mean, we're like veal. We sit there and go, yeah. I've heard people defending this knucklehead Eric Cantor this past week. Yeah, I mean, he gets in front, and Boehner is standing right behind him, and Boehner looked like he was embarrassed. And he says, we're going to vote on a bill. We're going to vote on a bill that says if the Senate doesn't vote on the bill, that whatever we voted on in the House is going to become law. Now, if you just go back to junior high, maybe, and your social studies and your government classes, a bill has to pass the House, and then it has to pass the Senate, and then the president has to sign it. Kind of like what happened with S.B.5. Has to pass the Senate, and it has to pass the House, and then the governor has to sign it. That's the way it works. The problem with the news conference with the majority leader this past week was something very simple. We're assumed to be veal. Now, he's not a stupid man. I don't know his background. Is he a lawyer? But, I mean, to get to that level, you can't be a stupid guy. And no one questioned him. It was a press conference. Not one reporter went, excuse me, Representative Cantor, it's not the way the government works. They like us being veal. They really do. They like us not to think. That's sad. That is really, really sad. $30 billion is what the budget goes up every month from simply interest payments. $30 billion. Now, if you've been following along with the big debate, the government shutdown that's going to happen in Washington, is it a week from Saturday? A week from tomorrow? That's what they're debating. They're cutting nothing. It's just rhetoric. That's all it is. It's politics at its worst. As you continue to pay more and more and more. You know why there's such an outcry with the public employee unions? It's because government employs all those people. The Wall Street Journal this morning. More Americans work for government than in manufacturing, farming, fishing, forestry, mining, utilities combined. And what is manufacturing? We're making something and selling it. Farming, you're growing something and selling it. Fishing, catching something, selling it. Forestry, cutting down a tree so you can build a house. Mining coal so we can produce electricity. Utilities, producing a product. What does government produce? Really, what does government produce? Sadly, government produces jobs now. Not that that's a bad thing, but we certainly don't need the amount of employees that work in government now. I've made the point. At its high point, the city of Cincinnati had just shy of 600,000 people. Today, the city of Cincinnati has less than 300,000 people. Yet we have an infrastructure in the city of Cincinnati for a population of 600,000 people. Why? Why? Hard to answer that one, huh? 513-749-7000 is our number. 1-800-THE-BIG-1 and pound 700 on AT&T. Oh, I have something else I have to pass along. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but the city of Cincinnati was celebrating Reds opening day in a very unique way yesterday. With its arms wide open. I'll explain after the news. It's 28 after 10. I'm Darryl Parks in for Doc Thompson on 700 WLW. Jim Scott and the 700 WLW morning crew will be heading out to fish fries during Lent. And tonight they're going to be at St. Maximilian Colby, Liberty Township. So if you're heading out there, expect to see Jim Scott shaking hands and saying hi. In fact, Jim Scott's 2011 Fish Fry Tour, a service of Dryer Vent Wizard, and also McCluskey Chevrolet. And for more information about it, 700WLW.com and search the word. Or just go to his blog. Go to Jim Scott's blog. Speaking of online, join me on Facebook, facebook.com. Look me up, Darryl Parks, DARRYLPARKS. And this is kind of funny. There's a dude who parks on P3 in our parking garage here in Kenwood, drives a Silverado. He cannot figure out how to park that pickup truck in a space. Most days he's in 2 spaces, and there are pictures on my Facebook page. He parked in 4. Doesn't know the definition of the word courtesy. I'm calling him out on Facebook. So become my friend on Facebook, facebook.com. Look up Darryl Parks. Opening day yesterday. How about the guys that want to make opening day a city holiday in Cincinnati? Isn't that great? I know we all get caught up in the euphoria. A lot of people take opening day off. Happens on a Thursday. I would imagine a lot of people took off today as well, it being a long holiday. Have you thought it through? It's not a good idea. All those police officers, all those firefighters, And all the so-called essential personnel for the city of Cincinnati, if it is a city holiday, would probably get what, double time, triple time? No, the city's broke. While I understand the euphoria, I get it. Not a good idea. David is in Middletown, 700 WLW.
Hey, how you doing?
All right, David, what's up, buddy?
Hey, I just got a question for you. You were talking about the number of public employees compared to private sector employees. Let's say the government does, let's say slash that number in half. Where are those workers then supposed to go to get a job? Because we know the private sector's not hiring.
Well, David, the problem is high taxes. And to my example of Caterpillar, think about Caterpillar wanting to move out of the state of Illinois. And whether it's a surrounding state or maybe moving to another, a state that has low taxes like, or perceived low taxes like the state of Indiana. They just hopped across the border and all of a sudden headquartered in Indianapolis. That's a legacy company. And they are looking for ways to hire more people. And with a tax structure in a state like Illinois, they find it almost impossible to do.
Understandable. I understand that. I'm just wondering, if you're talking about the Cincinnati has a workforce for, a city of 600,000, I'm just wondering if
they do
slash that number, and I understand that. If they slash that number, though, where's somebody going to go to find a job? I mean, I understand that what you're saying. It's just we have to look at the state. We have to look at, number one, figuring out ways to make it economical for a company to headquarter here. I am so sick and tired, David. I'm so sick and tired of hearing about companies like NCR just pulling up ship and moving to Georgia. I made the point at the time when that happened that the state government did nothing. And that what the governor at the time, Strickland, should have done is called up, and this is a wild statement, but there's a point to it. Should have picked up the phone and said, "Hello, Coca-Cola. What is it going to take for you to headquarter in Columbus? What is it going to take for you to headquarter in Dayton?" And cut the deal, and make it known that this state will not allow other states to pilfer their companies. But the problem is we can't do it because of the tax structure, the high tax structure. David, years ago, are you originally from Ohio? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I moved to Ohio about 16 years ago, and I love living in the Buckeye State. I consider myself a Buckeye now. Not the Ohio State University type of Buckeye, but I consider myself an Ohioan. And if you listen to me, you know about what I mean about that. But at the time, Ohio was one of the states that had the lowest tax burden. Today, it's number 3, and that happened in the last 15 or 16 years. Something is fundamentally wrong.
I understand that. I'm just wondering, if the government lays these people off, where do they go? Where do they go to get a job? They have to leave Ohio to go get a job because there aren't any here.
We also have another problem, David, to your point about leaving Ohio. We have young people leaving the state of Ohio. We have young people leaving Indiana, and we have young people leaving the Commonwealth. They're moving to other states where the opportunities are greater, and that's that so-called brain drain. We have some of the finest universities within an hour and a half's drive of Cincinnati. You have UK, you have the Ohio State University, you have UD, you have University of Cincinnati, Xavier, you have Indiana University, you have Purdue University. Yet these people are leaving. And that's frightening. David, are you a public employee union member?
Yeah, I'm a teacher.
All right. You're calling from Middletown?
Yeah.
Okay. Were you at the big rally last night in Middletown?
No.
How come?
I'm just not that active with it, I guess.
All right. David, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too.
Okay, take care. Tomorrow at 10:06 on my Saturday show, I will reveal, as you know, I'm a tax killer when it comes to school levies. Tomorrow at 10:06, I will reveal what school levy I will focus on and use these 50,000 watts and my influence to defeat a month from now in the May election. 10:06 tomorrow. Be listening on 700 WLW. 700 WLW. Reds winners yesterday. That walk-off home run, 7-6, the final score. It's opening night tomorrow at Great American Ballpark as they take on the Milwaukee Brewers again. And our coverage starts at 6:10 with the inside pitch and first pitch at 7:10 tomorrow here on the home of the Cincinnati Reds. Willie's on the way at 12:06. Mark Monahan, who is the head of the Firefighters Union in Cincinnati, joins Willie at 12:33. Union brother Willie on the big one, 700 WLW. I have some thoughts about opening day. Yesterday, I made the point right before the break about making this a city holiday. Not a good idea when you really look at what it would cost. I get the euphoria. I get it. I love opening day. I know people consider that a holiday already. They take their kids out of school if it's not spring break like it is now. I get all that. But, boy, when you look at what the costs will be, think about the tens of thousands of people that were downtown yesterday. I'd venture to guess well into the hundreds of thousands. And, 42,000 were at the game? So a lot more people went downtown to celebrate opening day. They went downtown for the parade. They went downtown and bought a couple of beers at bars, maybe watched the game in a bar, and just celebrated what opening day is here in Cincinnati. And that is we're tossing off the winter coats. Spring is here, boys of summer play, and all that kind of stuff. And yet the city of Cincinnati, the county of Hamilton, and the state of Ohio just, and I don't know, I didn't get reports of this in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, but they just couldn't help themselves yesterday as people were driving in from the suburbs, people that normally don't go downtown, people that were driving in from the region, maybe driving in from Indianapolis, driving in from Columbus, driving from Lexington, coming to see the Cincinnati Reds play. And they had to go through the gauntlet of the State Highway Patrol, the state police. They had to go through the gauntlet of the county sheriffs and these little municipalities that line the interstates, that line I-71, that line I-75, line I-74, all the roads coming into the city of Cincinnati. Yep, there they were. Not one, not two, not three, upwards of 9, 10, 12 police cars in a short distance. They just couldn't help themselves with revenue enhancement. Boy, nothing welcomes you to a city with open arms like having to run through a speed trap, you know? I mean, come on. You hear business people crying, we need people downtown to come. It's safe downtown. Come downtown. Come to be entertained. Come to the Aronoff Center. Come to the fine restaurants that are around the Aronoff Center now. Go to over the Rhine. Come to a Reds game. We're welcoming you. And they couldn't help themselves. They had to put up the speed traps. And what pisses me off about these speed traps is they target out-of-towners. Why do they target out-of-towners? For one simple reason. They target out-of-towners because chances are you'll just say, oh, all right, sign the ticket, send the check in, and never appear in court. There it was, March 31st, the final day of the month. Revenue enhancement in the city of Cincinnati, the county of Hamilton, and roads leading to Great American Ballpark. Just displaying our worst. And welcome to Cincinnati. Come to Cincinnati. Spend the day. Spend your money. Yeah, you just have to get through the speed trap first. 513-749-7000, our number here into the bunker. I'm Darryl Parks in for Doc Thompson on the big one. 700 WLW. 11:06 this morning, Susan Spencer is going to join us on the NFL lockout and what it means to you as fans. She's a former general manager, I believe, of the Philadelphia Eagles, also a part owner at one point of the Philadelphia Eagles. So she knows of what she speaks. Susan Spencer at 11:06 this morning. All right, to one of my all-time favorite speed trap towns, Newtown. Bill, good morning. You're on the big one.
How you doing, Darryl?
Not bad, buddy.
All right, I've got to make a counterpoint to what you were saying about the making opening day a city holiday. I don't think you're getting all the facts out. What I read yesterday was they want to make it a ceremonial holiday. Now, that doesn't mean that all the public employees in the city would have to get time and a half or double time or triple time, whatever you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think if they wanted to do that, and I believe most unions probably would look at this and say, yeah, we can make a concession here, and, it's just a holiday.
You are kidding me, right?
No, I'm not kidding you.
Bill, even if it's not going to be, let's say it a ceremonial opening day, a ceremonial city holiday?
Sure.
No. It's a ceremonial city holiday right now.
I agree.
You don't need anything official.
Okay. That's fine. Then let's just drop it and go on. But I think the point you're making that everybody's going to cry.
No, if it's an official city holiday, my point is it's going to cost the city a lot of money.
Well, maybe not.
I'm one of those Bill, that we should get rid of certain federal holidays as well. There's no to me it is ludicrous that schools close on President's Day or schools close on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Or you name the day when the students ought to be in school and they ought to be learning about what those days mean.
Oh, I agree 110%.
Yeah.
But I believe it also goes back to whatever school district you work in or your kids go to. My kids go to Catholic schools.
Mm-hmm.
They learn about Martin Luther King. They learn about the presidents. In fact, they were in the parade yesterday. They had a Cincinnati person, place, or thing they had to do a research paper on. They dressed as that person, place, or thing in the parade. And they learn that stuff.
So they were learning all about the Finley opening day parade?
Yeah, absolutely. The opening day parade, Charles, my son went as, Grader's Ice Cream, anything from Cincinnati.
That's good.
They all had to do a report on.
That is wonderful because, Bill, I guess we're in agreement on this. There are few two people around that know the history of where we live.
I agree.
Yeah.
110%.
All right, Bill, have a wonderful day.
Hey, you too.
Okay, watch the speed traps in Newtown.
Hey, now hold on. Let's go back to that real quick. It's not any different anywhere else. You go to South Carolina, you go through Kentucky, you go through Tennessee.
Bill,
same thing.
I will argue with you on that. When you go down 32 and it goes from 55 to 50 to 35 and then in a couple of 100 feet back down to 25, that's a speed trap.
Oh, I agree. I agree with that. I just went through there myself.
All right, Bill, I'm going to join you soon. I keep driving by and I haven't seen the date it's going to open yet, but the dairy corner when that opens.
I believe it's probably this weekend.
I keep driving by. She doesn't have the date in the window yet.
Oh, she doesn't?
No.
All right. Well, we'll see you there then.
We'll see you at the dairy corner. Now, that is a sure sign of spring. The dairy corner opening in Newtown. And I've said it before. If she ever sells it, it's a gold mine. People are lined up there to get the creamy whip. Some of the best creamy whip in the tri-state there in downtown Newtown. Susan Spencer joins us, 11:06, the NFL lockout. Where are the union brothers from the NFL, and why are they not supporting the union brothers and sisters in the public employee unions? I asked that question. It's a minute before 11 on the home of the Cincinnati Reds, 700 WLW.